This is the Lenovo Legion Go 2. The box is massive, the screen is massive, and the price tag is massive. But if you can get past all of that, this may just be the best handheld of 2025. Let's get into the video and find out. Let's go ahead, let's get this thing out of the box, and if the box is any indication, this thing is ridiculously massive. I cannot wait to check this thing out. I will be honest, I really did not like the Lenovo Go S when I reviewed it, and this may be the handheld that makes me switch to Lenovo. We'll see, but let's get out of the box. Right out of the gate here, we have the case, which is a really nice touch. It is a soft-sided case here. Hopefully the top down is picking that up. You get that nice Legion, Lenovo Legion symbol, like the one behind me. Really nice zipper case. We'll set that aside for right now. Let's go ahead and just see what else we have here. Over here on the right, we've got what seems like it's probably an accessory and or power brick box, and yep, there it is. So we have a power brick. This is a 65-watt power brick, very, very similar to the Xbox Ally X and also the ROG Ally X. Both had that 65-watt power brick, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head. And we'll check this out here. I think that is it. That is pretty much it. You do get, oh, wait, down in the bottom, hidden underneath everything is some instructions or some warranty information. I don't think I really need that. So let's set this over here on the side and let's get the Legion Go out of its, Legion Go 2 out of its case for the first time. And the case is nice. I did hear that the original Legion Go had a hard shell case. I didn't ever have one, so I can't speak to that. But honestly, there's a lot of padding in here. It's a good probably, quarter-inch padding or so, but really nice. And I mean, this thing is massive. That is crazy how big this handheld is. That is just nuts. Look at that. That is a massive handheld. I mean, come on, but it is comfortable. They have really come very, very close. While I disliked the Go S, the ergonomics on that and the screen were just amazing. Still, to this day, we'll see, but still to this day, probably my favorite handheld to hold and to visually look at. But we'll see. I really feel like this is going to take the cake. But yeah, we've got that. Up here at the top, we'll run over the buttons just real quick and make sure there's nothing else in here. Actually, there is, so hold on before we do the buttons. Let's see what else is in here real fast. I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, this is that FPS dock thing that basically locks into the bottom of your controller, and you can do like a mouse with the right joystick or Joy-Con. We're really close to basically being a Nintendo Switch that plays actual PC games, actual real games here. And then what's over here? This is, oh, these are the little, again, Joy-Con type, or at least there's one of them in here. I guess there's not two. I thought there were supposed to be two to be on either side. I'll have to look and see if I'm missing one somewhere. But that feels like everything. So everything fits in this little case, which is really, really nice. And on that note, I actually purchased, not knowing that this came with a case, I purchased this hard shell, not super hard, but hard shell case off of Amazon, as I always do. And I mean, it fits in there. So if you were interested, you also have a place up here for your power brick and some other cables, a dock if you wanted to put one up here. I mean, it's a good, two of the Legion Go 2, so I don't know if you really want to be putting this in your bag, but I'll throw this up there. But in all honesty, I don't think you need to buy a case. I'm probably sending this back just because I didn't know it came with a case, and now that it does, it's like, why would I keep this? And then obviously, always get a screen protector. I have one on every one of my devices, and I'll throw this down there too. They're fairly cheap on Amazon now, and it's a good thing to have. Keep, scratches, different things, especially if you plan on reselling it down the road, which I usually do. So I'll throw this in here, and we'll throw this in here. And I'm going to set this right here real fast. And if I know anything from this, I will go ahead and check this out. I do believe I have to plug this in first. Yes. So you have to plug this in, even the ROG Ally and Xbox Ally X, you have to plug them in first before you can use them. But first impressions, having this in my hand, it's heavy. Not as bad as I thought. The weight is really evenly dispensed across the hands. I love the grips. I love the grips on this thing. It is really nice. And then we have these back Y1 and Y2 buttons. Really, really cool back here on the back of the handheld. And then we've got a dial here, which looks like that's a mouse scroll wheel on the right. So that's going to be your FPS, you know, for that base there. And then you have a trackpad up here. You've got your Legion Space, what looks like your Legion Space button. Again, I haven't turned this on yet. On the left-hand side, upper left-hand side, you've got like what looks like a menu button over here, which is going to be, again, probably your settings to set up your, you know, TDP, all of that stuff. That's probably going to be over here, I'm assuming. And then we've got what looks like, I call them start and select buttons, but I know that's kind of old school, you know, original button stuff. And then we've got stuff down here. I don't even know what these buttons are. We've got 2 more buttons on the left. Got a really nice D-pad right here, and the joysticks honestly feel pretty nice. Now they are a lot looser, I'll say, than the Xbox Ally X's and even the Ally X. They feel a little bit more lightweight. That's a really good word for it. They feel thinner and a little bit more lightweight and a little more jumpy. Just right out of the gate. I'm just, you know, this is the first time feeling it and everything. Left and right bumpers, I love them. They have a nice, big, thick left and right bumper there. The triggers are really nice. Now, they did not include my favorite thing from the Go S. Again, there are a few things I did like about it, and that was the selection, the trigger depth selector button back here. So I really wish they had included that, especially at this price tag. I mean, this is a premium device. They really should have given us all of the features. But, you know, overlook a few things, I guess. Volume rocker up here on the top. You've got your USB-C port, USB 4 port up there. You have a micro SD card slot on the bottom, a headphone jack on the bottom, and then you've got another USB-C port on the bottom. So interesting that they decided to go kind of the Nintendo, again, Nintendo Switch 2 route. Kind of, you know, the docking, and then you have the port on the top. So very Nintendo Switch 2. And then also, along those lines, and I have no idea how to do this. So first time doing this, you, I guess, supposedly press a button, and this is going to, yep, I don't want to break this. I really don't want to break this. You press this button, and I have no idea how to, there we go. Press the button and pull down. And right like that, there's that. So I'll go over here and do the same thing. So you press and you pull down. Comes off really nice and easy. And then you have a 8.8-inch OLED, 144 hertz refresh rate tablet. I mean, this is essentially a tablet. This thing has HDR. It's just insane, the resolution that's just putting down. Now, it is thick. It is thick. I don't know. I have to look up the exact specs on the thickness. I don't have them in front of me, and I don't have them in memory. But, I mean, it's a chunk of a brick. But you can put it down here just like this, and then you'll be able to play like this. And also, you would be able to grab your little mouse or FPS trigger thing here, and you can lock this in right like that. There we go. Then that locks in. So, again, on the old model, I believe that they didn't have anything like this, so it would pop up, fly off, it wouldn't work. But you want to flip that around, and then what the little stick here is for, that you had that's very similar to what the Joy-Cons, the little thing that they slide in, you know, over the Joy-Cons when you're using them as actual controllers. This goes right, and again, I'm doing this all just first time, haven't done this before. Okay, so the Lenovo Legion icon goes towards the top of the controller, and then that locks into place, and you want to, like, it basically slides in very, very similarly to how the actual controller locks into this. But then you have, as this feels weird, oh, and then I do believe, yep, so this comes off, the actual joystick comes off, so it levels this out, and then you've got this right here. I mean, that is really cool. This, you can sit here and game just like this. That just really, really cool. And then underneath here, you unlock that, and it flies off. But you unlock that, and you can see the little IR or lasers down here at the bottom. It's not IR. I guess IR is lasers. Anyway, you can see that down at the bottom, and that's what's going to track, give you your mouse-like control there. Pop that off real quick. Pop this back on here. See if how easy it is to pop back on. There it is. Okay, so this does go in one particular way. The joystick does not just pop in any direction. It's not like my, Elite controller on my Xbox. It's going to go in exactly one direction. Let's see how hard it is to put back on here. I've heard that this is really hard. So I push in. Okay, that locked in pretty easy. It's a little finicky. There we go. That's not that hard. Not as simple as the Switch and as straightforward, but definitely not that difficult to get the hang of. And I think once you did it like once or twice, be no problem at all. So let me go ahead. I will try to turn this on. I don't think it will turn on. May make a liar out of me here. Yeah, so with all of these handhelds, they kind of always have to be hooked up to power first. So I'm going to hook this up to power, and then we'll go ahead and see what this screen looks like, because I cannot wait to check this OLED out. I got the power hooked up, and I did see the light flashing on the top, so I think we're good. I'm going to do the first boot on camera here. I'm going to put this inside of here just really fast because I don't need it for this part. So again, this is your power button up here, and I don't know if the top down can see it, but the light is greeny, yellow, amber, really. We'll go ahead and press that. There's your giant power button. Also, it's a fingerprint scanner, so they've pulled over the Xbox Ally X and the Ally X's fingerprint scanner. That is over here, and there is the screen. With this OLED, you're getting that HDR capability. So I'll go ahead, I'll set all of this up, and then I will get back into it with the actual display in Windows and show you what that looks like. Well, after about 30 minutes of Windows installs and updates and signing in, I'm finally in. Also updating Legion Space, installing Legion Space, updating Legion Space, and then updating the controllers. So everything and its brother has been updated. I'm finally in, and it wants to walk us through the Legion Space setup. So I figured I'd hop back in here and do this. So it says to press or tap the screen, so I'm going to do that. So we have the Legion L button over here, the space button over here, which is what I said in the beginning of the video. So that's the Legion Space button. Cool, I love that, you had that. Okay, press to open Legion Space homepage and explore the multiple games and everything. All right, cool. So right bumper goes to the next thing. Then we have the Legion R, press and open the quick menu settings. So again, that is going to be that, as I said, your TDP, your performance, your different settings that you can do. So again, if you have a Legion Go, if you have a Legion Go S, any of those, very similar to that. I remember this from those. It was kind of, this whole menu was a little irritating to me on that. Hopefully they've updated it. I don't know yet. But that's the Legion R button. I don't know why we call that the R button. Legion L plus LB. So if we do this together, it's a shortcut list. Oh, interesting. Okay, so if you hit the Legion Space button and the left bumper, you get a shortcut menu, and it will tell you what all the buttons are. And in fact, I forgot in my button overview while I was updating that you have an M1 button up here on the right, only on the right Joy-Con, whatever it is, detachable controller here. You have an M2, and then you only have an M3 and an M3 and a Y3 over here, whereas on the left you have only those Y1 and Y2. So buttons were showing up out of everywhere when I was setting this up, and I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot those were there. So let's go ahead and hit this. So if I hit the R button, open the quick menu, we already went through that. Let's go ahead and go over here. We already went through that. Oh, I tapped that button. Okay, switch controller modes. Oh, cool. So the controller mode for different games. Gamepad mode is used for most console games with the controller support, and the FPS mode is used for first-person games. So at the bottom down here, there is actually a FPS mode at the bottom, and you can flip that. So again, that right detachable controller has a button over here that I didn't even notice, again, setting this up. So definitely want to go through the menus here because there is stuff everywhere on this device. It's nuts. And then, of course, there's the 2 detachable buttons, which I showed there at the bottom of the controllers. And you hit those and slide them down. You have to push them in and slide down. You definitely want to be holding the device from like the center and pull down. I was unable to try to do that like single-handedly, and even over here it's a little weird holding the left controller. I found that holding directly in the middle and then pulling that down worked the best. So not as seamless as the Switch or Switch 2, but still pretty cool. Go ahead and switch over here real quick, and it says have fun. We've gone through the tutorial. Yay. We're going to go through B start here. All right, welcome to Legion Space. Left bumper, right bumper, move through the different things. You have your Legion store. You have your library, so that's going to give you like your Xbox app, your Steam app, all of that. Settings, so you got a whole settings thing here. Your controllers, got it, cool. Legion Space, create a login for Legion Space desktop shortcut. I hate desktop shortcuts, and I have to agree most likely. Okay, so cool. So here's our gamepad. It shows us that. Each controller has its own battery. Obviously, it has to. Again, very Switch-like. You can do the button mapping, joysticks, RGB. I do love their RGB and how it separates and has the lines in between. I really like that. I like that on the Go S as well. And then let's go over here. There's a library, so we only have the Xbox app right now. I will have to add in games. This will be where all your games are, your apps are, all of that. I'm also going to be installing the Xbox experience on this, and since I don't have an Xbox button, but I have all of these other buttons, and a lot of them are programmable, I will either pick one on the front, or we have these back buttons back here, and I will choose one of those as my Xbox dedicated button, basically to get us very, very similar to that Xbox Ally X. Because that Xbox button is a really nice feature in the Ally X, or Xbox Ally X. There's an Ally X and an Xbox Ally X, and it's very frustrating because they're both Ally X's. Anyway, here's our store here. We do have our profile. I'll have to log into that later. Very cool. And then, of course, that menu over there. Hit that. Okay, that start, and then select. What does this button do? Not doing anything. Okay, it looks like that just goes back there. Let me go ahead. I'm going to hit it again just to see what it does. Yeah, so that's like a back button, takes you back into there. Interesting. Okay, so this, yeah, so that is like hitting Command Tab, or I think it's Control Tab. I'm trying to remember my Windows shortcuts there to do multi-windows there, but it looks like that's what this is basically, this gives you all of your open desktops and or apps. So that's kind of a dedicated button specifically for that. Very, very cool. I don't have any way to do the sound right now. I will do a sound test on this when I do the comparison, because next is to compare this with the Xbox Ally X. And real quick, on that note, I will go ahead and just put these two handhelds side by side, detach the power cable here. I don't need that anymore. And I will say I also set up the fingerprint scanner. It is a little weird, just it's over here and you kind of have to reach over. I did use my right finger, but it's a little weird. It's in a weird spot. I do wish that it was a little bit more over here, and we'll see how reliable it is. I know that the Xbox Ally X and the Ally X's fingerprint scanner are, reliable is a strong word. They don't always work. It's definitely not Apple's fingerprint scanner. There is your two displays. I mean, I will say this display is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous display. I love the OLED. I haven't even seen any content on it yet, and I love the OLED. It is so, the blues are like, this dark blue over here is like a really cool dark blue. Let me go ahead and open a similar app here. Let's open this up and see if we can get an actual web page to open here. Sign in with Google. No, continue without Google data. Thank you very much. And let's do the welcome page. I don't care. AI browser, go away. Okay, so there you go. I mean, they're very different screens. This is an IPS screen. This, is not OLED. This is OLED. This is 120 hertz refresh rate. This is 144 hertz variable refresh rate. So very, very cool there. And one thing, again, to note, though, is if I put this resting on top of the Legion Go 2, and I'm fairly close there, and I don't know if the top-down can see that, with the ergonomic grips of the Xbox Ally X, it's not that much bigger. Like, I felt like this was a really massive handheld, and it's only about yay big, about that much bigger at the bottom of the handheld. And in all honesty, the thickness is almost identical. It's almost identical. They're very, very close on their thickness there. In fact, yeah, that is almost exactly the same depth, a little bit deeper on the grips of the controllers. So really you're not, it is a massively bigger screen. I say massive, it's 8.8 inches versus the 7-inch, but I expect it to be a lot bigger because of the box and everything, and putting this right next to it, it's just, it doesn't. Now this feels cheap. I will say, you pick that up, this has weight to it, this feels like a brick, this, you know, is a heavy device, and this feels plasticky and cheap. But I do like the joysticks on the Xbox Ally X. Just, again, I wanted to test that because I mentioned that in the beginning. These feel very lightweight, and I feel like I'm going to probably end up putting some kind of cover on these because this has the rounded Xbox. If you've held an Xbox controller, these are Xbox joysticks. Very, very similar to Xbox, just the base controller joysticks, where this is very, I don't know what to compare it to, but it's lightweight. It doesn't feel as solid as these do. So I'm going to get all of my stuff installed here, and I will be testing these out, and then I will, you know, continue the video in a week or so after I've done some serious testing between these two, just to see which one I like and which one I'm going to keep. Well, just like with the Xbox Ally X, when I did the video and I compared it against the Ally X, I have spent some time with the Lenovo Legion Go too, and I have some thoughts on it, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to run through a sound check, again, much like the other video, because I think that this is kind of a, we're in this $1,000 price point, right? We've crossed into $1,000 with both of these handhelds. This one's obviously more. This is the $1,350 version, you know, of a handheld, which is insanity. But I feel like if you're going to be making a decision between these two, there are some things that you need to know going into this. One of the things, just right out of the gate, is that this, I feel like personally, and I just shut it off there, I feel like personally that this handheld is probably the handheld that's more for someone who likes to get in and tweak the settings. I say that because I have had to do a lot more work to get to the point where I have the FPS and the quality that I was seeing out of the Xbox Ally X just out of the box. And it felt like it was basically more of a, if you are a computer person and you're into gaming handhelds, or you know, into building computers and tweaking settings, Lenovo tends to kind of, and maybe it's their goal, maybe they just really suck at software and drivers, but they tend to lean more towards, you have to do some extra work to get this quality out of it. Because I mean, this is the same exact processor as this. It's Z2 Extreme. This has 32 gigs of RAM. This has 24. So I mean, theoretically on paper, this should be better, right? This has that, you know, better the OLED. It has your, you know, 1200p, the, you know, basically 2K display. So it's a higher resolution than this. We should be seeing better performance out of the Lenovo Legion Go, and it takes some doing. But that's just kind of my rant. I did spend some time getting it set up. You do have to do a few things. If you get a Lenovo Legion Go, while we're talking about this, and you end up with like really bad, like I'm talking what is the Lenovo Legion Go Series S chipsets, the Lenovo Legion Go will like look like garbage. It'll look like you're on one of those, and you've got to go in and you've got to tweak some settings. You've got to actually wipe all of the drivers, Windows. That's one of the things I had happen. I updated my drivers here, or let Windows do it, and it messed it up. I mean, when I opened it up, it was actually fairly decent. Still wasn't the Xbox Ally X level, but it was fairly decent. And then it got worse and worse, and then I had an update when I was getting ready for this video, and so I updated both of these to make sure they're both, you know, at the newest OS and you know, BIOS versions, all of that. And it broke this handheld. It was bad. We're talking like 30 frames a second from like 60, 70, even up inwards in 80 that I had seen, and then it was just down to 30, and it was bad. So there are some things you have to do, and if you're interested in those, I can either make a video about it. I can also throw the Reddit post that talks about what you need to do to the Lenovo Legion to get it to give you back basically your FPS. It's ridiculous, kind of a Windows thing and a Lenovo thing, but just something to be aware of. But let's go ahead, let's start up, and I'm going to use Helldivers. It has such a good soundtrack, and I'm not going to do a whole lot with this. I'm going to go ahead and just, fire it up, let the intro play just a little bit here in the interest of time, because we've already kind of done this, and you already know, if you've watched my previous video on the Xbox Ally X, I mean, those speakers, they're so good. They are just probably the best handheld speakers I've heard in a handheld ever. And so I'm going to go ahead and get this to fire up here. I'll get this to fire up. And this has a magnifier tool. Oh, also, you do have to go in, and there is some settings you've got to mess around with. Because this is not a 16:9 aspect ratio, the Legion Go, you do have to go in and tweak some of the display settings inside Windows. And I actually have to go in, I say Windows, but it's the AMD software, the Adrenalin software. You have to go in and you kind of have to go back and forth, and you have to set like each individual game for its display. It's kind of annoying. It doesn't work really well. And so it's just something, you're like, this is set global settings default, and I have to set it to, I think it's full panel. I want to convey to you one of the greatest things about this handheld, and I hope I can in this video. It's the display. It is gorgeous. It is as good as the speakers are in the Xbox Ally X. The screen is that to the Xbox Ally X's speakers, right? It's actually like you sit down and you just forget you're gaming. I don't do that on, whether it's the Ally X or even the Xbox Ally X. I kind of always knew I was playing in a handheld, and I have an OLED TV, and I am used to those pure blacks and the crisp color, and it's so good. But here we go. So again, if you can hear that, oh, here we go. It is not as good as the Xbox Ally X's. It just isn't. Let's go ahead and hop into HellPod here. It's good. It really, after hearing the Xbox Ally X's, you will be disappointed. Just because it's nowhere near as good as those. Let me go ahead and let this stop here. But the reason for that is because we have these top firing speakers. Now, I understand that the Lenovo Legion Go, the first gen, was actually really, really bad apparently. Like, I guess the speakers. But they've updated the speakers, but they're not this. So I will go ahead and just real quick do the same thing. We have it on the old, on my other video, and let me get loaded up here just to give you a quick, and I'm only gonna let this just fire up because I've already done this, and I just want you to hear the difference in the video, kind of as close as possible. It is just so good. In the other video, it was night and day to the Ally X, but this is so good. But these are forward firing. You get a wraparound sound. It is a lot better. And I'm not going to do any more than that because, I already did the sound comparison for this in the other one. I will say that, yes, if you're in for sound, as I said in my other video, Xbox Ally X wins hands down, not even a competition. But the sound out of this is not bad. It is better than my Ally X. I will say that. It is better than my Ally X, and that's good. Another thing to discuss real quick is really ergonomics. So this, I said when I unboxed this that it felt like the Legion Go S series, right? And it does. It's close. It's not as comfortable. I do wish that they had carried those ergonomics over to this. They came close. It is really, really close, but it is slightly different. My hands don't get numb like they do on the Ally X or, a Switch. And obviously the Xbox Ally X, I've never had that happen, which is really good. So they have improved the ergonomics. One thing to note with this is that the controllers, and I haven't seen one online, the controllers when they detach like this are really difficult to play the handheld with. You really need like a switch, the dock for your Switch where you, and I just shut the thing off again. I keep bumping that button. But when you undock them and then you put them in the little like Joy-Con holder, this needs that. And the reason is these are so big that I find myself needing to like feel like I gotta move my hands around the controller, and I don't have anything else to support the controller with, so because I don't have that, it's awkward. You're playing and you're like, okay, you're fumbling with the controller. Another thing to note is that with this docked like this, and I have used this docked, it does really, really well. These little things right here, because this only has a single USB-C port on the top right there, and then it has the USB-C port on the bottom, that's really inconvenient if it's not laying flat. And when it's angled like this, which honestly, the docks I have over there that are just the docks for this, you don't need that with the Lenovo Legion Go 2. You do not need a dock. You need this little $8, or I think it's $8 for two of these. They're like 8K, 80 gig, 240 watt USB-C angle bracket. I'm going to call them angle brackets. They're angle plugs. You take them, you pop this in here, whichever way you want to go. I always flip and go out to the right of the console, mainly because I've got my SD card over here and my headphone jack, and I would recommend doing the same thing with a headphone jack and going to the left side. But I can set this down right here, and hopefully this camera behind me is grabbing that, and then send a power cable out over here to the right. I can connect an Xbox controller, so I can leave these connected to the handheld like this, and I'm going to try not to hit that power switch right there. So I can leave these plugged in like this, and then I can have my, my controller here, and I've got a dock. It is a solid base. It's really, really cool, and you do not need more than this little $8, pack of two. I think it's a pack of two on Amazon. And I will throw links to these down in the description if you have a Lenovo Legion Go 2, or you're looking at getting one, or maybe you just want one for, the Xbox Ally X. I don't know. Another thing to note with this, and let me try to get this to an actual like full screen here for this back camera. Another thing to note with this is this little hand or little mouse device here. I like it. I played, again, Halo Reach with it, just like this, and it's really convenient. You flip it over, I said in the thing, FPS mode, and you click it. Let's see here. I always don't know which button to hit, and it works really, really well. Hopefully this camera over here can see it and is picking it up. I mean, it's a mouse, and it's really good, and you could theoretically sit here and hold it like I am right now, with your left hand over here, and then your right hand on this, moving the joystick around. And it works, and I'm not putting the little bracket there right now just for time's sake. But you've got to configure it. So don't just undock this controller, like detach the controller, put it on the table, and expect it to just carry over like a controller would. Just note that you're gonna have to configure this controller to work the way you want it to. Now, for speakers, this sitting right here, that's actually pretty good. That is a different game, that's Gears of War Reloaded here. And I'll go ahead and fire this up. Let me go ahead and go into campaign here, if it'll do it. Oh, there we go. Okay, accept. No. Cancel. There we go. Okay. So there's your mouse. No, I don't want to quit. You sure you want to exit? I don't want to exit. See, this is what I'm saying. It's weird. Oh, okay, so left click. Yeah, okay. Is this right here? It's your thumb. It's a little funky, and it'll take some getting used to. Okay, skip. Go ahead and skip. Skip. Yeah, it's not going to let me skip. There we go. Let's go. So, I mean, that's me playing on, the mouse. And over here, okay, I do have an FPS counter. It looks like it's not registering my MSI one. Let's go ahead and go. I want to go to combat. Let's take the I sometimes will default to touching the screen, but I'm at 50, 60 frames a second with Reloaded here, and I am not running this at max spec. Let me flip this up here and go over to Legion Space, because I have the buttons set up weird over here. So let's go to Performance, and we'll go to Performance mode, set that up, full speed on the fans, balanced efficiency, we'll set OS power to Performance. There we go, hear those fans kicking in. And let's just see what we can get out of this here. So let's go ahead and resume. No, cancel. It's so, yeah. Okay, there we go. Let's hit escape. There we go. Let's go. So there we go. We are pinned at 63 FPS, 55, 60. I mean, it's 70. We've got some pretty good FPS. You really want that DPI high because you've got to like lift this and move it all over the place, and it's just not as efficient as a mouse. Let me see here. There's that. So see, that's that button, and I got this. Okay, there's aim there. And see Q, like I don't have Q. You want to configure each game for its controller set, and obviously that's how you have to do that, right? And you should do that anyway with even just the base controllers, but it's just something that if you're going to use the FPS, little thing here, you have to configure it. So let's go ahead and let's get some Cyberpunk up here because I can compare that between the two. But yeah, here, so we are in the game. We are in Steam Deck settings here, and I'm kind of staring at this lady. I'm going to run over here down this roadway here, kind of go away from where we were at in the previous recording. And we're at 53, 51. See, we spiked up to 60. There is a way, and I need to see where my settings are right now. There is a way to get this to actually get up to that 70 FPS. I've seen it up there, but right now we're at 60. But this was sitting without that driver update. This was sitting at 40 frames a second on Steam Deck settings. But if you look here, I mean, it's good. It is so crisp and so clear, and hopefully, and I just ran into a car. I was watching the camera and the top down and not walking across the road. That happens, right? But it's really, really clear. I'll wait for this car here. Maybe the cops won't hit me. So let's go ahead here. I'll throw a grenade. It's just, the colors are so rich on this handheld. It's just, man, it's good stuff. Let's see, run, jump. Oh, well, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have run in there. I'm going to keep running. Okay, so, I mean, that's kind of a gunfight. We're sitting at, 59, 54. We're bouncing all over the place right there. Let me go ahead and pause this real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn up the power a little bit. One thing I've noticed when you are playing this game, performance over here, we're at 19 watt TDP, and the Legion Go 2 loves to stay at about 25 watt TDP. So also, I mean, that's what the Xbox Ally X and the Ally X are at when you do the performance mode. They're at 25 watt TDP. So you have to go into custom, and you have to change that. So right now I'm at SPL. I have 25 watt. SPPT, so that's that like little boost. I have that at 27, and then I have 30 boost. I don't know what the exact settings are in the Ally X or Xbox Ally X, so I got them as close. I know that a lot of times it likes to have a little bit of headroom there, so that's what I did and try to keep it within that 5 FPS or 5 watt TDP, rather not FPS, range. And if I back out of here, now that I'm on custom, let's see if it'll bump my frames up. There we go. We're sitting at like 67. I saw 70 for a second, 55, 63, 64. So if you get it up to that, 25 watt TDP, you can get some decent FPS out of this handheld. It is actually really good. But you have to do the tweaking. You have to do the driver thing that I did if yours is messed up like mine. And then you have to go in and you have to make sure that you're running this. Now, I am running this at lower resolution, obviously, than what the handheld is at. You will drop about 5 or 10 frames, give or take. It depends on what's going on, if you go to the full resolution of the display panel. It's kind of a thing you have to accept with having a very high resolution. I say very high, but this level of quality in this handheld and the screen. So let me hit ray tracing, kind of like I did with the other one here real fast. And you'll notice we drop down here to 44, 45. You know, so we got some decent FPS out of ray tracing. And let's look up in, you know, I don't have any sun rays, unfortunately, but there's a look up at the moon. Some of the graphics here, I'll try to move slower. I mean, it's pretty good. It's a little chuggy at times. I see some, you know, frame glitching and stuff. You definitely notice that 40 frames. Let me log out here, and I will go back. Again, I'll probably use Helldivers. We'll hit play. So I had to turn it down. The other one was really, really loud. This is 100%. So there we go. And we're at 30 FPS coming in. That's going to be, and the other day I actually had this running docked mode on Helldivers 2 and played, and there was no problems. We were holding it like about 50 FPS docked to a little, I think it's 1080 monitor over there. Hit screen record. All right, we are screen recording, hopefully. And then I will hit start. I will go to my display settings to show where we are. So this is that 1900 by 1200. It's registering the full resolution. I'm going to drop that down to the 1920 by 1080 so that it's matching the Xbox Ally X. I'm going to stay at balanced right now, and then, well, I say that, and then I mess it up. And I'm going to be at Steam Deck, starting out. So here we are, we're at 40. It does look funky when you do the 1920 by 1080. It's because this is not, it doesn't want to do that. And you'll notice I've got some screen tearing going on there, and I've got stuff going on. Let's go ahead and load this up real fast, do a drop. Let's go ahead and go in here. Capture the flag. Love my napalm. Ready up. But that's just the thing about this handheld, is that if you're going to get it, you need to kind of accept that you're going to have some downfalls, because the FPS is going to be a little lower, I think, than this just out of the gate, with the fact that you have a higher resolution display. But you get a really gorgeous display. It's just so good. And apparently I dropped right on the flag. So there we are, we're at 40, 50. And just to note, we are still at, I'll go ahead and hit this button if it'll let me. That's one thing I will say about Lenovo, the Legion Go 2, and the Go S series and all that. They're buttons that you hit it, and like Armory Crate comes up pretty much almost instantly, and they just don't. So let's turn around here, but this is pretty good. Honestly, this is not bad. I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, not bad. It's still, I mean, it's about what it was on the Xbox Ally X, right? At 50 frames a second, 60. I'll go ahead and drop my napalm here. See what this does. I'm going to back up just a little bit. I say back up and then I run into the napalm. But you know, what do you want? But again, this hopefully will show you from the top down and the screen recording here. But really, for this, I'm more concerned about really the camera behind me picking this up, because it's just, even this that's not great is so good just in the graphics alone. It's just really good. I say graphics, but the resolutions. Let me go ahead and I will change this over. I know balanced is where it's supposed to be. Let's switch over to native again. I do know that native is just, it's so much better. It really, really is in terms of quality. And yeah, there you go. I mean, I've got a little bit more resolution on the character. The plants are a little bit more detailed. And again, this is Helldivers. It's not fully optimized. Okay. Don't you call it bug hole. There we go. All right. Hate them bugs. All right. So yeah, that's that. Let's go ahead and hit this. Glorious victory. So let's stop this right here. And I will switch over to the Xbox Ally X real fast, just to show you real quick. And so, like I said, we were seeing at like 25 watt TDP on the Lenovo Legion Go 2. We were seeing that 70 frames a second, 60, 65, bouncing all over the place. And this is obviously loading, so this doesn't matter. I'll make sure real fast here that we're on the right graphic settings. So we're at Steam Deck settings, and this is 1920 by 1080. So that should be very similar to what we did before. All right, so this loaded me here, and I got a whole bunch of stuff on the screen. And there you go, we're at 60 FPS, kind of locked at 60 FPS in all honesty. That is interesting that we are that just locked in at 60 FPS. Let me hit this button real fast to make sure I don't have anything. We'll turn, okay, RIS was off. I don't know why. Frame at 20, okay. So everything's set, but yeah, we are just locked at 60 FPS in, okay, and here we go. There's a battle. You know, I say a battle, I'm gonna run away. Use my stun pistol here. Stun this person. Yep, that's what you get. Okay, I'll run over here, and I'm gonna get away just so I can switch the display. But again, like we're at 60 FPS and we're not moving off of that. So that's something very interesting about this. And I had been playing this earlier and noticed that with this at 25 watt TDP, you kind of bounce all over the place. This seems to be locked at like 25, 24 watts, and it doesn't really move. And it keeps you at that 60 FPS, which is really, really nice. And the graphics aren't bad. I mean, again, it's a smaller screen. It is not this display. If you can see that, and I understand they're different images, but it's just the colors on the Legion Go are so good. Legion Go 2, to clarify. And it's so good. But anyway, so yeah, that's that. I'll start here. And I always hit the wrong button in this game on the Ally X and Xbox Ally X here. I'll switch this over to ray tracing low just because I like a little bit of ray tracing in my games. And go back over here to this light. And there you go. You know, 40, 29, 48, 45. So very similar results on this. You should see that. That's what this they're the exact same processor, a little bit better RAM, higher RAM I should say on the Legion Go 2, but that's about it. So yeah, that's this. I'm gonna go ahead, I won't run this one as long because kind of the point is this one over here. And let me, nope, cancel, exit, quit game. And I will fire up some Helldivers 2. So let me show you where we're at here. We are at 1080p, we're at balanced, and we are on Steam Deck settings. So again, we're at like 56, 58 frames a second. That's really, really good. Load that up, run over here. And I will be honest that this display, now I didn't have that one at full resolution. This display in this game to me looks actually a little bit better than it did on the Legion Go 2. Just to me. Obviously smaller, not OLED, not as, rich, but because it's a little cleaner, I'll say, in this particular game, it looks a little better. However, that just froze really bad, but that could also be, I went down to 1 FPS. And I forgot to hit screen recording here. So hopefully I can get that in there as this HellPod is dropping. They're going down. 70 frames a second. That, I don't even know what to say about that. That is interesting. I am seeing way better FPS on this, and this is Steam Deck settings, and that 1920 by 1080. That's got to be that it's the native resolution. It's got to be that. Maybe I'm wrong. And you can correct me in the comments if I am, but it's just, 60. We're pinning at that 60 FPS and just staying there. That is impressive. I'm torn now because I really, really love the Legion Go 2, but that is some good FPS out of this little guy. Let me go ahead and I will change the display over to native just to see what that does. And it stopped recording. I dislike you so heavily. And yes, bugs. Okay, you need to stop. Stinking bugs. Oh, wrong. Every time, wrong button. Nuke pistol. Okay, so let's see. That'll scorched earth the bugs over there. And let's see here. We're at 40. Okay, so at balance we're at 40 FPS. That's kind of what I was seeing in the other one. But again, what I know from using the Lenovo Legion Go 2 is that most likely the reason this game is running better is because there's some setting I'm missing in that, because you have to dig into the menus. This just runs out of the box. So yeah, that is the FPS that you can get out of this one here. I'm gonna be honest, I am so torn on these two handhelds. When I started this video, I kind of started it with I really wanted to move over to this one, and I'm seeing things in the ROG that are just, they're more efficient. The efficiency in that one is better. Now, if I am going solely on screens, if you're going after resolution, this hands down is the display. It's so crisp, it's so clear. You do get that higher resolution, so you're getting that 2K display, the 1920 by 1200. This is max 1080p, and the same LCD panel that we had in the Ally X, as we know. This is 144 hertz variable refresh rate. That is really, really cool. You are getting a lot more modularity, I guess I'll call it, where you can, use the FPS mode, you can put it on a controller, set it, I do love that you can take this thing, set it right there, and I can sit back and play games, and it's an 8.8 inch display, and it's good. And on a lot of games, I've had no problems. It's just figuring out what the settings are in the AMD Adrenalin software, and also going into the Lenovo Legion Space and figuring out what that is. And so you've got to do that if you want to get the maximum amount of horsepower out of this thing. It is running the Xbox experience, so I've got everything that this has in that, and I think they just released, I believe it was as of today, or maybe it was a day ago or something. Xbox came out and pretty much said all Windows handhelds now can have the Xbox experience. So you don't have to, I think you still have to download that weird repo from GitHub, but it's there, and it's going to be just a native thing here real soon. If you are someone who also is willing to drop that $1,350 price tag, that is something that's hard to get over. That is a lot for a handheld, and I feel like we're in this weird area where we're over $1,000, and I said it in my last video, for not console level performance, right? I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, it's really, really good, but I get better performance out of my PlayStation 5 and my Xbox, Series X. You do, it's bigger, it's got a, bigger power supply, it's better. And that cost me $700. So dropping, what is that, another like $650 for this? It's portable, but is it worth it? Honestly, no, it's not worth it. Unless you have the money. If you have the money to burn, then go for it, right? Like, it's a great handheld. It's gorgeous. The sound is not terrible. Even with its the few bugs I've noticed, so the trackpad over here, which I really, really like having, especially when I dock it and I need a mouse to get to things, because the controllers don't work as a mouse. You can set that up, but I don't have it set up. But I'll touch the mouse sometimes, and this trackpad does it. I don't know why, but the mouse will jump over to the right hand side of the screen or jump to the top, and I'll just be center pressed. Or sometimes I'll even be just running my finger around, in the center of the trackpad here, and it just jumps off the screen. So little weird things like that. Weird bugs where I had the controllers alternating flashing red, and then it wouldn't boot. That was weird in my testing, and I finally had to almost do a hard reset. I didn't wipe everything, but it wiped my passcode to Windows and did a whole bunch of other things. The controllers, the disconnect. If you have them disconnected when the handheld is off and turn it back on, and maybe I just don't know how to turn them on yet. Could be my thing. This is the first time having one of these. They don't just turn on, which I get, but I'm like, okay, I've hit buttons and stuff, and A and B and start, and it won't fire up. So I don't know what that's about. Maybe, again, I don't have them set right. Could be me. But that's just something you have to connect them to the, tablet, and then disconnect them, and you're good to go. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really that I've had. Oh, I did have it to where it wouldn't come off of performance mode. It stayed on performance mode, and the fans were locked at max. And I actually left it charging. I thought it would, auto hibernate and sleep. It did not. I came back the next morning, so 9 hours later, and it was really, really hot. The whole thing was like ridiculously hot. So little weird nuances like that. It's not as, I'll say, polished as ROG has their stuff. I mean, and then honestly, the ergonomics of the Xbox Ally X are still superior to this. I want to say that this is really good, and it is really good compared to the, Legion Go, the first edition, and the Ally X, but the Xbox Ally X is better. So kind of just my takeaways and my things that I've had and I've experienced with this. I really do like the handheld. I am up in the air. I can't say at the end of this video that I'm keeping this one and I'm sending this one back, and I can't say I'm really torn, and I don't want both, so I have to make a decision. And I don't know, hopefully I haven't left you in the same boat. I will say I feel like I'm leaning towards the Legion Go 2 just because I like a few of the things that it has that doesn't. I like the detachable controllers. I do like that I don't need to buy a dock for that. So let's add up the price real fast just on that note. If I buy this, I have to buy a case for it. If I bought their ROG case at 70 bucks, I said in the other video, so now I'm at, $1,100, let's just call it tax and everything. And then I gotta buy a dock. Depending on the dock I buy, I'm talking $30 to $70. I could be upwards of $100 depending on how, if you wanna get the ROG dock that's for this, I think that's $150. So now we're at, what is that, $1,250? So let's just say $1,250 for simple math, and that's $1,350, obviously tax. And I get a case with it. I do have to invest the $8 for this little dongle here, but this thing docks itself. Done. That is really, really cool. And I love that feature. So I don't need to buy a dock. I put it on my desk, hit the stand, I'm good to go. I'm gaming, whether docked on my TV or sitting here on a controller, whatever it may be, on a plane. It's really, really convenient and really, really nice. So that is kind of my takeaways. I will probably be keeping this one. I'm really torn, but I think I will, and see what ROG does maybe next year and see if they'll up the resolution, if they'll give us a better display, and kind of keep some of this stuff. But yeah, that has been my review of the Lenovo Legion Go 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, share, and we will see you in the next video.